I've got a hot new pickup line for you LinkedIn ads geeks. Are you a LinkedIn ad? Because my dwell time on you just went through the roof. That's right, we're talking about dwell time on this week's episode of the LinkedIn Ads Show.
Welcome to the LinkedIn Ads Show. Here's your host, AJ Wilcox.
Hey there, LinkedIn Ads fanatics. As he said, I'm AJ Wilcox. I'm the host of the weekly podcast, the LinkedIn Ads Show. And I'm thrilled to welcome you to the show for advanced B2B marketers to evolve through mastering LinkedIn ads and achieving true pro status. As you may know, LinkedIn recently released a new metric for advertisers to better analyze their performance. It's called dwell time, and honestly, it's great. Today, we're covering what it is, how it's measured, and as a bonus here at the end, we'll also share some benchmarks so you can see how your ads are stacking up.
The LinkedIn Ads Show is proudly brought to you by B2Link.com, the LinkedIn ads experts.
B2Link is the ad agency 100% dedicated to LinkedIn ads, and we have been since 2014. You know, back before it was cool. We build custom strategies for every account we work with. You get to work directly with me and my local team. You won't get a cookie cutter approach or standard account templates from us. I'm a car guy, so I like this analogy. We provide Ferrari-level results for the price of a Honda. If you'd like to explore partnering with us for your LinkedIn ads, schedule your free discovery call at b2linked.com/discovery. All right, first off in the news, LinkedIn is rolling out the ability to sponsor LinkedIn newsletters. In past episodes, I've mentioned that I've seen the ability to sponsor a LinkedIn article, and I thought that that was actually for sponsoring newsletters. Turns out you couldn't actually sponsor a newsletter then. That's what this release is for. This will be available in 3 objectives: brand awareness, engagement, and lead generation, which with lead generation, this is cool. You can actually gate these behind a lead gen form. For those of you who have a LinkedIn newsletter, this is actually really cool because with newsletters, you can see who it is who's subscribed to your newsletter, but you can't get their data out like an email address for subscribing. But when you add a lead generation form, you can. Currently, it's only for the ad format single image ad. If you want to try this out, here's how it works. If you're sponsoring a company newsletter, what you do is you set up your campaign, hit next to go to the ad section, then you want to hit browse existing content, then click company page, and then you'll get to see any of your company page posts that were promoting the newsletter, and you can choose that to sponsor. If this is for an individual's newsletter though, the process is a little bit different. It acts like a thought leader ad. So you get past the campaign into the ads. Same as before, click browse existing content. This time you do LinkedIn members. You choose the member who's hosting the newsletter, and then you can sponsor it once you have their permission. This becomes a thought leader ad. I've really liked LinkedIn newsletters. They seem to perform really well, and I'd actually love to hear from any of you. If any of you are putting dollars behind sponsoring them, I'd love to hear what the results look like. So reach out to me. My DMs are open. If you look under columns engagement in Campaign Manager, you'll notice that we have 2 bright, shiny new metrics. You'll see subscription and viral subscription to track the subscriptions that happen because of your paid ad efforts. Also in the news, we haven't talked a whole lot about connected TV or LinkedIn's CTV offering. I'm going to save that all for a future episode. But something that we got that's really cool is we now have connected TV frequency control. Your frequency is the number of times a member account has been shown a specific ad or a specific campaign. It's great to have frequency because you want to keep reminding people and stay in their long-term memory, but you also don't want to show something so often that they get sick of it. With CTV, you could imagine if it's every commercial break, they see your ad, you could see people getting a little fed up and maybe not appreciating you as an advertiser as much. You'll now be able to select the maximum number of impressions that each user can see within a specific time frame. I wanted to shout someone out here. Josh Silverman, he's social media and digital coordinator at Pontoon Solutions. He left us a review here on the podcast, and I wanted to share it with you. He said, as I've grown more in my LinkedIn demand gen role, I've followed the newsletter and the podcast more and more closely. Such great insights and advice in each episode. Thanks for helping people like me along. It can be such a valuable platform with the right tools and guidance. Josh, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so happy to hear that the content that I help participate in is helping you in your role, and you are achieving true pro status. Excited to have you as a listener. All right, so everyone else, do you have a question, a review, or feedback for the show? You can message me on LinkedIn or email us at podcast@b2linked.com. You can send text or preferably attach a link to a voice recording from you. And I can play them right here on the show, which I'm happy to keep you anonymous as well. I definitely want to feature you. All right, with all that being said, let's hit it. The topic at hand is dwell time. What is it? Put simply, it's the average amount of time that viewers of your ads have your ad on their screen before scrolling by or clicking. A longer dwell time shows your audience is likely more engaged with your ads. A shorter dwell time may signal that your audience is scrolling right by and it's not catching their attention. So why is dwell time important? I'm quoting LinkedIn here. They've mentioned how important it is for brands to compete for attention in what they call the attention economy. They calculate attention by using dwell time, this new metric, and it's an important factor in influencing attitudinal metrics, specifically awareness, recall, and whether you recommend a brand. And then for me, I just have to say, dwell time is one additional metric that we can use to quantify how our ads are doing. If we have something like click-through rate, that's great, but it doesn't tell us the whole story. This, in addition, it opens up a lot more doors. All right, so where can you find it? If you have access to it in your campaign manager, you can go to columns and choose either engagement or video. Both of those dropdowns have the new dwell time metric. At the time of recording, it looks like about half of my accounts have access to dwell time. So you may not have it yet, but chances are it's rolling out quickly. And by the time you actually hear this, because this is going to be, a week out, chances are you either have it or you're about to have it. If you're like me, your first question here is going to be, all right, how is this calculated? What is the metric that I'm actually looking at? The way it works is for every impression of your ad, LinkedIn measures the total time that a member spent with the ad more than 50% on their screen. The platform then averages that number across all paid ad impressions, giving you an average dwell time in number of seconds on your ads, campaigns, and even campaign groups. All of the Newsfeed ad formats have dwell times that are being calculated. This includes all of the ads, as well as LinkedIn Audience Network campaigns and connected TV. We don't actually have published dwell times yet for lead gen forms, but LinkedIn assures us that it's coming. It might just take a quarter or two. When I heard that dwell time was coming out, I started thinking about, okay, where does this actually sit in the metrics? How do I think about it? Where do I position it in terms of how do I know what's working and what's not? When I share data with clients, I'm going to show impressions, clicks, spend. Then before I show click-through rate, I'm also going to have dwell time. Your click-through rate shows the people who are actually interested enough to click. But dwell time is going to give us data on how much consideration went into the ads and is even giving us insight onto the consideration that went in by those who didn't even end up clicking. Even if an ad has a low click-through rate, I would still argue that there is lots of value to advertisers if there is a higher dwell time on an ad. We also see quite often when someone sees an ad, a lot of times they won't click it. They'll go open up another browser tab and navigate to you directly or go and Google your brand and get there organically. And even if they don't click, there's still a lot of value in having someone look at that ad and building that higher level of awareness and building it into their long-term memory, hopefully. As I've been researching for this episode, I also noticed that you can actually see the metrics for dwell time in Campaign Manager right now, but if you go to export the data to CSV, it's not available, unfortunately. I have no clue when that's going to be available, but I hope sooner than later. It's also not available through the API yet, for those of you data geeks who care. This whole dwell time conversation started something for me in the back of my mind. As an aside, have you ever wondered why LinkedIn chose a 2-second dwell time on a video ad to call that a view? But for organic video, a view is only when someone has watched for at least 3 seconds? I'm going to take a wild guess here that it's because LinkedIn had access to dwell time long before they thought about giving it to us as a measurable metric here in our LinkedIn ads. I would bet that the average video on the platform at the time had about a 2-second dwell time, and LinkedIn realized that if they weren't charging advertisers until members watched until 3 seconds, they wouldn't make as much money. So they changed the definition of a view for advertisers to be at 2 seconds, which would trigger a charge for the average member. If that's right, personally, I think it's a little slimy. I do wish that organic and paid were judged the same way with the same metrics. All right, now to what I think you've been waiting for is the benchmarks. I got access to some internal LinkedIn benchmark data, and I wanted to share some of the interesting tidbits. I published all of it inside the LinkedIn Ads Fanatics community last week. So if you're interested and want to see more, definitely go check out the LinkedIn Ads Fanatics community. First off, we have the Newsfeed. The average Newsfeed ad has a dwell time of 2.68 seconds. And this actually echoes pretty closely what I see in our own accounts. But if your Newsfeed is on the LinkedIn Audience Network, then it averages 17.5 seconds. This makes sense because the majority of the LinkedIn Audience Network ads show up on content or in apps where people are looking at the page and spending a good deal of time on the page. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're looking at your ad that whole time. Probably not. They're probably trying to avoid it, but we understand why the LinkedIn Audience Network times are going to be longer. We also have a benchmark on connected TV, and this makes sense that it's longer than the LinkedIn Audience Network because it's non-skippable. The average is 23.55 seconds. And I would imagine that's the average length of a connected TV ad is around 23 seconds. I know you can go as short as 7 and as long as I actually don't know the total length. Then jumping into more specifics of ad formats and objectives, single image ads have an average of 4.76 seconds. Now you'll notice that is longer than the 2.68 seconds that I mentioned were average across non-LAN and non-CTV newsfeed. And I think that's the reason that this is longer. I suspect that all of this benchmark data that I have, if it doesn't specifically break out LAN, CTV, and just newsfeed, it's probably averaging LAN together with newsfeed, which newsfeed at 2.6 seconds, LAN at 17.5. When you average those, the numbers are going to be quite a bit higher than just newsfeed. Thought leader ads also aren't mentioned in the benchmarks, but on my accounts, I'm seeing averages between about 3 to 5 seconds of dwell time for any thought leader ad. And this makes sense to me. We definitely get more consideration when it's a human on a post versus a company. Some other interesting tidbits that I found in the benchmark data: dwell time is highest for the job applicant objective. This makes sense because if you're considering a job, you're probably going to think about it a little bit harder, read all of the requirements and skills required and all of that. Next objective is video views, which also makes sense. If someone is watching video and LinkedIn knows that they tend to watch more video, of course, their dwell time is going to be a little higher. The lead generation objective currently has the lowest dwell time, and that's at 2.7 seconds. So even if LinkedIn's not going to give us dwell times for lead gen forms, at least they put it in the benchmark data. I also thought it was interesting. Document ads have a 2.74 second average dwell time, which you'll note is lower than single image ads, but I suspect that's because single image ads are available for LAN and document ads aren't. If it were only measuring ads that were not across the audience network, only on LinkedIn, I would bet that document ads would have a higher dwell time than single image ads. I think this is probably a weakness in the benchmark calculations. With document ads, there's just more to see. There's more reason to keep it on your screen longer. That would make sense. If you're not yet a member of the LinkedIn Ads Fanatics community, what are you waiting for? For a low monthly price, you get access to all 4 of our courses that take you from absolute beginner to total LinkedIn Ads expert. You also have access to the community of LinkedIn Ads experts who are all sharing what's working for them, answering questions, posing their own. It's a great place to be. Plus, there's an upgrade where you can get on weekly group calls with me. We call this the Super Fanatics, and we have an awesome conversation every week. So come join in. Check it out by going to fanatics.b2linked.com. Now, if this is your first time listening, welcome. I'm excited to have you here. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you hear this content again next week. But if this is not your first time and you're a loyal listener, the very biggest compliment you can pay me is to go to Apple Podcasts and rate and leave a review. Finally, with any questions, suggestions, or corrections reach out to us at podcast@b2links.com, or you can message me on LinkedIn. My DMs are free and open. With that being said, we'll see you back here next week. And as always, I'm cheering you on in your LinkedIn ads initiatives.